You're listening to the Rebel Scum podcast.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
From odds making to list rankings, we've got you covered. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
Grogu.
No.
Grogu. Okay, I'm James. He's Brock. Spoilers for the last 2 episodes of Mandalorian. This is going to come up on the Sunday night, so I think technically, Brock, spoilers aren't supposed to happen until the Monday. Mando Monday is when you're supposed to hold off on spoilers. So we got to let it right out of the bag. We'll be doing spoilers. Look, the Ahsoka episode, everyone knows. But this episode that just happened, right off the bat, spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, come back after you've seen it. But Grogu, Brock, first thoughts on Grogu. The name, not the character.
I was like, yeah, sure. I was glad it didn't start with a Y, because then if there's ever more of this race, then they're all gonna be Y names. Grogu works for me. I'm curious who got to name it. Was it Favreau or Filoni?
It was so I read in a Vanity Fair article that Jon Favreau had that name early on in the first season, whether it was when they were shooting the first season or writing it or whatnot.
Yeah.
He had it fairly early on. I'm just trying to change my camera here, but I can't do it. Anyway, you're gonna get a lot of headroom on me. So apparently it was very early on in the first season. Favreau came to Filoni and said, "This is the name that I have. Love it or hate it. It is what it is." I know a lot of people that do not like it for whatever reason. Which whatever. Everyone has their own opinion. I was, for me, my whole thing was just, I was like, well, I felt like no matter what they did, it wasn't going to be loved.
Yeah.
Because Baby Yoda had already taken over the world as like the name, right? So what I felt, it was really tough. And when I first heard it, I was taken back a bit, like, oh, all right, we went for so the whole Ahsoka thing, as my mic falls down, the whole Ahsoka thing here, Brock, when it first happened, because there's that rule in Star Wars where you're not allowed to name the Yoda species, right? That's just like George Lucas's rule. But George Lucas no longer has anything to do with Star Wars, so I don't know if that's a rule or not anymore. So when the Ahsoka bit was going on, I was like, oh, are they going to let Ahsoka tell us the name of the species? Because I would be okay with that, actually, at this point in time. And I was extra okay with her being the one to give us the child's name. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, he doesn't talk, so how do you converse with this creature? So having Ahsoka, and it's like there's no arguability about it. Like, they're talking to each other through the Force. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, no, like there's nothing that anyone can be like, oh, but that wouldn't make sense. I'm sure there's always a way to find something wrong with Star Wars, but it worked for me. I was just when that episode just started immediately with Ahsoka with lightsabers and just like, it's all out, like, just get ready because it's coming. So anything like Rosario Dawson hit it out of the park. She did a great job with that character. I can't believe it. Even though we knew this was coming, It was still like stunning to see, and it looks so good. So yeah, going back to what you were asking, Grogu is like cool. I love that scene. I love everything about that scene. We could have stayed in that forest for the entire episode. Yeah.
I have to say right off the bat, because we mentioned this I think last week or the week before, we don't talk too much about the episodes before we record.
Yeah.
That episode was I think the first time since the premiere of season 1,
yep,
where one of us messaged the other, like we called each other after the very, very first episode of season 1. But this one, I think I woke up, was getting ready for my workday, and then I got a text from you saying, like, oh my God, watch it now, or something like that. It was like, you have to watch it, and you were like, stay off social media.
Yeah, stay off the internet.
Yeah, it was literally stay off of it. And then I was like, okay, I gotta watch it. And then it was probably a half hour later. Andrew sent me like the exact same message, and I was like, I haven't had a chance yet. I've got work emails to figure out. So I woke up a little bit later that day, but I did end up watching it without going on social media very early, and yeah, I was. So when it first started, I will admit I was like, oh, are we back on Navarro? Because I guess every planet's gonna look a little bit like Navarro now. And then obviously when we got out of the gate, we weren't in Navarro anymore. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, wow, they're not even wasting time. They're just like, here's Ahsoka, deal with it. Have you spoken to Reham or anybody else who watches the show who's not all that familiar with Ahsoka?
Reham hasn't watched either episode yet, so I'm trying to keep it on the TL. Funny enough, you asked that. I work with people that, I mean, it's not special. People like Mandalorian, even non-Star Wars fans. So yes. I know a guy he likes the Mandalorian as well, but he's rewatching Rebels right now, and I'm like, oh, that's perfect.
Oh, that's the coincidence.
And then watch season 2 of Mandalorian. I think he's like 3 episodes in, and I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. So I wasn't saying anything to him, but we were doing a corporate town hall meeting, and someone in the meeting actually mentions like, oh, because like. If you work corporate stuff or if you do any like Zoom meetings or something, inevitably something comes up about COVID, blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh, now it's like, it used to be, because I'm in Toronto, it's like, this is like the Raptors winning the NBA championship. Like speakers or presidents or managers of whatever major corporations always like to be like, I'm like the everyman. I know what's happening. So it's like the president of this company was like, oh, in my house, we watch The Mandalorian. And, it's like the child, but now it's Grogu. And I was like, in the middle of like switching, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. His name is Greg. I was like, I'm so sorry, Greg. I am so sorry. And he's like, just keep doing the show. I'm like, I am so sorry.
You walked away. You just walked off your position. Do you think Grogu's going to stick?
Yeah, I mean,
and sorry, I shouldn't say it's obviously going to stick, in the show and with us, but with the fans, not like the casual fans who just watch the show and love it, who refer to him as Baby Yoda, will it stick? That's how I should phrase it.
I think so. I'm interested to see like it's amazing that like now all the merchandise for Baby Yoda or the child is coming out. Now they're gonna have to change the box. Well, they won't change the box for this, but you know what I mean?
But are these is this like I haven't got like I've only got a few Baby Yoda things. I got an ornament over here that says the child. I have the Black Series thing, and then I got I was at Walmart the other day finishing up my Christmas shopping, and I got Aaron this, and my sister and my mom. Such a waste of money. But it's like this little, it's this.
Is it the cartoony one?
It's this here.
Oh.
But it's not this. It's not this.
Well, it's Yoda.
So, I have this Yoda. I have a C3. I have a R2D2. I have a few of the Darth Vader, a few of these, right? But I was at Walmart. They had these, but it was the child. It was Baby Yoda, Grogu, and Vader. So I got my dad a Vader, but I got Aaron, my mom, and my sister the Grogu one because he's like this, and it's clearly a baby version of this. But that's literally anyway. That excited me like beyond reason when I was there. It was stupid, but I'm just curious of all these. These things that people have bought that said the child will soon be collector's items. And if you have something that says the child and not Grogu, it's going to be worth it. It's kind of like Rey in The Force Awakens before the lightsaber and after the lightsaber. They were the same toys, but they just added like that blue shiny thing. You're like, but you can't find the other one anymore. You can only find that one. So I'm curious if it's going to be like that.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's, since the days of the mail order Boba Fett, like Star Wars Star Wars action figures are really, they look for that exclusivity of something. What was I gonna say? Oh shoot. Anyways, it was great. I saw an article that there was like a lot of Easter eggs in the Ahsoka episode.
Yeah, the owl was there.
The owl. I saw it like I thought it was behind her in the picture I saw, but I didn't see it behind her. I saw it just in the woods. Is that the only
I think I saw it twice. I can't remember. I think I saw it the first time I saw it though. I was like, oh, there it is. That was my only reaction was, there it is. It's just little things like I don't know. I don't catch a lot of Easter eggs anymore. Because I watch it, on my lunch break. I'm like, get through it. And then this week's episode, I had no idea how long it was. I was like, just don't be 2 hours. I gotta go back to work.
What did you think of Michael Biehn in that episode?
It was fine.
Yeah.
I think I know what they were going for. I think that like the Mando Michael Biehn gunslinger portion was far weaker than the Ahsoka. What was her name? Morgan
something.
Morgan. Like it was far weaker, I thought, than that half of it. Like I hate to say, I almost could have done. I don't mean it, but I could have done with like if that part wasn't in it, like the gunslinger, it wouldn't have affected anything really. So that
it was almost like if he faced off against the HK-87s alone, that would have been enough.
Exactly. They were trying to juxtapose the two like different styles, like what they are. So whatever. But I thought it was fine. I think it's one of those things again where the casting came out as a leak. And people got excited. And when you watch the show, you got to watch it in the show. And I think, those kind of leaks ruin things. Because you have, Timothy Olyphant leak. He proved to be like this great character. I think it was a great character. And then you have the Michael Biehn one, who was an okay character, but served a purpose within the story. So, and it's not like they came out like, guess who's in this episode, this show, so. And what'd you think?
I thought it was good. He's not a guy that I could pick out of a lineup. Like, I was prepared for him to show up at some point. It's like, oh, that must be Michael Biehn, right? Like, he doesn't have a remarkable look. He actually looks like the guy that played Flash in the 90s. And Flash now. He doesn't look like, oh, God. What is this character in Terminator?
Reese,
yeah. Reese Witherspoon.
He did great as Reese. He was great in Legally Blonde 2.
Legally Blonde 2, Judgment Day. But yeah, it was a good episode, but let's talk about the real, like, this is the crazy part. That's not the biggest reveal in that episode. Looking for Thrawn.
Yeah, okay, so okay, but let's twist it a little bit because clearly that was huge. But okay, so you have in that episode you have Ahsoka, you have a Jedi. So let's look at it from an outsider perspective for 1 second.
Sorry, you're right.
Well, no. I think what you're saying is correct, but
Grogu is a little bit bigger than Thrawn.
I'm just okay. So if we look at it from like an outsider perspective, you have a Jedi running around with white lightsabers, a color lightsaber you've never seen before. So maybe as a casual fan, you don't really acknowledge that because you don't really care. But still, it's a Jedi, and you're like, oh, there's a Jedi running around. That's not Luke Skywalker. So you're already surprised. Baby Yoda gets the name Grogu.
Yeah.
She can communicate with him. He's very strong in the Force, and he trained. He probably knew Yoda. Like he probably came into contact with Yoda at some point.
Yeah.
Yoda's name gets dropped, and then the Thrawn moment. So the Thrawn moment for us was massive, but for an outsider fan, I'm curious how they would react to it because Aaron was very nonchalant about it. But now, for you, what did that tell you? Like specifically, what went through your mind? You're like, where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? Yeah. What went through your mind right there?
I was like, oh, okay, so the spinoff is Ahsoka. That was it. I was just like, oh wow. It's I say it again. If we didn't know Ahsoka was going to appear, this episode would have been amazing. It's still amazing, but you know what I mean? Like it's the problem with like last season being so like whoa that you're like you're kind of jaded now. But I think that's great. I think it's a smart move. I mean, we were talking through text. I'm like, so then when does she go and get Sabine? How many years later is that? Because like
Filoni, that was kind of brought up to Filoni in that Vanity Fair interview.
Right.
And he doesn't give an answer, and he's just kind of like, he's like, because of timelines, he just kind of said that that epilogue could happen after what we just saw.
Yep.
Which kind of I think you and I think most people kind of thought that, like, all right, well, this takes place in the middle gap of time after that thing. I'm with you though, like, because you brought up the White Hood pretty much immediately, and then I mentioned that to Aaron, so I was like, she has a White Hood, and Aaron doesn't know anything about Rebels, right? It just goes like this. Oh, well, we'll probably find out how she gets that. Like, just like, no question. She was like, she kind of sounded like she was interested in it now. If it was live action, if it was animated, she'd be out of the picture. But like, she seemed interested. So do you think, A, we're going to get that Ahsoka spinoff announcement by Christmas, like we mentioned before? Or will we get an understanding of that White Hood? Or are they just going to forget the White Hood and she'll be in the gray forever? In live action.
I don't know. I think it's conflicted because, like, that's, even though it's just a cloak, it's like, it is different from what she's wearing in this episode. So you're not going to want to bring in new people that have seen this character in Mandalorian and then give her a whole new outfit from the get. Maybe it'd be something like the first season is like, it jumps around in time where it's like, we follow her from Corvus. Is that what that planet's called?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But then it's also showing her, it's also maybe starting from where we left off with Rebels of her and Sabine. Like, it's bouncing back and forth, and then we're getting the storyline as we go. Or maybe they'll just do something totally different. I think I'm down for anything. I think I said to you, missed opportunity. She walks around with this massive thin staff that's gray, and she gives Mando that Beskar spear back. I'm like, perfect opportunity to link it all together. It would only be for us, but no, it wouldn't.
Okay, so the only thing to that though is that spear exists for someone to use it to fight the Darksaber, obviously. Yeah. But here's a question. So this is, I got to go into this week. We're going to just combine these two episodes now. But so this week's episode obviously ends with our best friend Grogu getting kidnapped once again, but this time it's the Dark Troopers, and Moff Gideon has him, and he's using the Force to help him out. And Moff Gideon shows him the Darksaber, and he asks him if he's seen something like that. So we know that there's going to be a massive lightsaber battle in this series, whether it's this episode coming up or the finale. At this point, you would think it's the finale, right? Because they have, whatever.
They have to get Bill Burr first.
We'll get to that. We will. But the director of the next episode makes all the sense in the world now, because he's the one who created that character, essentially. So it kind of, as soon as I saw Bill Burr, I'm like, oh, that makes sense why this would be his episode coming out. Anyway, so is it going to be Mando with the spear, or is it going to be Baby Yoda taking on the Darksaber? You laugh, but it's not all that. I mean, it would be hilarious, but it would also kind of be amazing if Baby Yoda did it. Yoda did it, and people still talk about it.
I think there's a possibility. I just think it won't be a lightsaber battle. You know what I mean? Because it's like, what does he hold? Does he hold the spear? Does he hold some lightsaber he finds? Like, I guess like the shorter Ahsoka lightsaber might work, but like, I think you're right though. Like, I think they're keying up to like, okay, Grogu's gonna face off, because like the force powers he was wielding in the end of episode 6 was just like, oh, that looks sick. Where he's throwing stormtroopers around. But yeah, I think the showdown will probably include all 3 of them in some manner. I really hope it's not the end of Moff Gideon, because I think there's just you've put so much. He's cloning, and he's got dark troopers, and he's got the black saber. Black saber? Yeah. Dark saber?
Well, black saber in Rogue One, dark saber everywhere else.
Yeah, I can never remember. Now it's easier to remember because there's dark troopers.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think there's a lot. They've put so much time. They put so much time into this character, but they haven't really developed him. and they've tied him to so many things. So I think like he's going to definitely be in season 3. I mean, I think Giancarlo Esposito hinted that
I think he alluded to it. Yeah, I also hope they don't. The thing is though is they've kind of given us, because the first season they're like, okay, they want to use him to clone. You know, they want to use Baby Yoda to clone, but it wasn't guaranteed. Like we weren't sure of that. Now we've been flat out told. We've seen you know, a wrong Snoke or something to that effect. Like we've seen what they're doing, and now they have him, and they're like, he's the donor. And Bob Iger said on that call like 2 years ago, I don't know, it feels like a decade ago with this, like, but I think he said there was going to be 4 seasons of this show.
Yeah,
season 3 is happening. They're probably writing it right now.
Yeah.
We know his goal in all. We don't know why it's his goal. I mean, we are guessing it's to bring back the Emperor. Boba Fett kind of confirms that for us when he says the Empire is back. You're like, okay, well, they just want to bring their Emperor back to rule the galaxy. So the blockage right now is the sequel trilogy, because we know that there's no Moff Gideon, right? We don't know, but we're guessing there's no Moff Gideon, but there is an Emperor who is still trying to come out. So what is the end game of this show, and how does it end in a way that clearly they're paying attention to the sequels, or paying attention to the brilliance of the show is they're paying attention to Star Wars. Like they're doing, you know, what George Lucas said he was doing when he wrote the prequels was, you have to live in the world that you've been giving. And it's kind of genius of the way it's appreciating every single aspect of it. But I'm curious where they're going to go in 2 more years, because I feel like we could get there right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so how do you prolong this? And hopefully I'm with you. You don't kill Gideon.
It's like, it's not falling into that trap that a lot of different series does, where like they make up a big bad every season. I think he's going to be the running evil person, unless there's some kind of puppet master, which could be the Emperor or whoever you want to call it. Even just imagine you could see Snoke at some point. But I don't think they're that close to that.
Well, okay, sorry, I gotta interject for a second, because I can't remember if it's a Force Awakens novelization or aftermath. I think it's a novelization, but Leia says that Snoke has been kind of around, has been like getting to Ben since he was in her womb, and we are coming close to Ben Solo's birth if he's not already born at this point. So we're really, really close to that. So Snoke, I mean, we saw the test tube baby. He could be coming back. I don't think we'll get him in the show necessarily, but there could be more alluding to him. Sorry.
But yeah. So I don't even know what I'm saying. I think they do the proximity to that is like changing up the storyline like halfway through a season. Like Walking Dead was notorious for that. Where like, here's the villain at this part. Now we're through it, and now you have 10 more episodes. So here's the next solution or next problem. I think like they do that on an episodic basis, but like that's not really the same thing. You're like, okay, that's fine. I hope they move away from. I don't know. I don't hate it. It's hard to critique it because it's like they make this with a lot of attention to detail. I think when the season's done, it's going to be like, oh, like we were saying, like what is the importance of the episode 2? Like anything happening in that besides like it just builds a character, builds a relationship, and then we get to see Mr. Kim show up as a space cop. And
that's the thing. Like we were saying this before. I feel like that episode, I don't think we've learned why we got that episode yet.
Yeah.
It obviously helps Cara Dune out.
Yeah.
Because it gets us to there. But you don't even need that episode to get to that, because the Resistance, Rebels, whatever the hell, the New Republic can still arrive without that us knowing who he is. And so, and then the only other thing I could think of is Grogu learning, the preciousness of life and appreciation of life that the eggs that he was eating had.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I could think of. And does that affect maybe the use of his donor usage. I don't know. Like I think we're still going to learn something. I asked Fantasia the other day. I said, "Do you think Frog Lady's coming back?" I don't think she's coming back necessarily, but I'm still like, there's something to that episode that is going to come back and just be like, oh, that's why we watched that. Just like Space Whales. Everyone uses Space Whales, and it's the greatest example of throwaway to, oh, they're the most important thing in the series.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, let's talk about this last episode. Boba Fett finally confirmed, and return of Fennec Shan.
Yeah.
Great episode. I think I said this to you through text. Is that the volume, or did they go somewhere?
And I responded with, it was Robert Rodriguez. It was probably shot in his basement on his green screen.
Yeah, like, look, what am I saying? Yeah, exactly.
But like, it looked like they were on location. So I don't know. We're getting Gallery Mandalorian season 2. I think on like Christmas Day. Yeah, I think it's Christmas.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
So we'll learn in the next 16 weeks or so. We'll learn the answer to that question, because I'm really curious to see that. I thought this might have been my favorite episode. Every time you mention Jango Fett, I'm happy. You're again, you are acknowledging what came before and what's going to come after. You know, I was always someone that was okay with Boba Fett being dead. You bring him back. But they brought him back, I think, in a cool way, where you find out that Jango was also a foundling. You find out that, you give a little bit more backstory to Jango like that. Boba Fett quotes his father with just a simple man trying to make his way in the galaxy, which was awesome. And then you do the one thing with Boba Fett that fans of Boba Fett have been wanting since 1980, and that's make him pretty freaking awesome. he just kind of, he was pretty awesome in his action. So I think that made a lot of people happy.
It was a great like juxtapose to Cobb Vanth, because like Cobb Vanth knows how to use it, but he's not as intricate. It's not a fluid motion. Yeah, he's like, the guy hasn't worn the armor for like 20 or 10 years or whatever. I like it. I like he's like, this has been my armor for the last 25 years. I'm like, I love time drops in there. But like, he puts it on and it just works automatically for him, and it's just like everything's fluid and smooth as he moves and stuff, and even looks like it fits him, right? I think that was intentional, that like it doesn't look like it fits Cobb Vanth. It's not made for him, and it's just great. I highly suspect that we'll get a Black Series Boba Fett without like just the way all the paint's like eaten off.
Because I have 3 Elite Series Boba Fetts.
Yeah.
I have the white one, the prototype. Yeah. So that's good. But the other 2 ones with the cape, one without the cape, and I was looking at them after. I'm like, I love the new paint job on it. How it's just like it's worn, and it was in a Sarlacc pit. For how long, I don't know. How he got out, I don't know. I would also like a Fennec Shan Black Series as well. I thought her helmet was really cool looking. I was all about that helmet. Yeah, she was cool. She had a great action too. Were you surprised that she came back?
No, because they completely revealed it in the previously on. Like I was like,
that's the thing with the previously on is I have to get Aaron to watch it so she kind of remembers from last season. Yeah, she's not as obsessed as I am, but I'm also like, okay, they're showing that, so I guess that's coming. Okay,
and you have to do it because not everyone is analyzing these episodes as much as
like that's why I have to get Aaron to watch it, because otherwise she'll have, who's that? I mean, she still kind of had that like she forgot who Fennec Shan was by now. I mean, she's such a small part in that one episode, right? So,
but yeah, like that end scene where you see feet show up, you're like, oh, that's gonna come back in some way. I thought it was great. What else was there? It's sort of like, oh wow, the Ahsoka episodes, like they went all out, and they're like, they can't like outdo that, and then they can. Let's put Baby Yoda on a rock, and then like a force field just shows up. I was thinking about it, like they could do an episode that's just Grogu and his experience in the Force, and then that's how you can hear his voice, perhaps, or you do an all silent episode where like it's just visuals. So and like his experience as he gets taken onto the thing. Like I don't think they'll do it this season, but like that would be a beautiful like season 3 episode where you get to see what he did in this Force Skype call or whatever, as we call it, whatever happened to him, and maybe even hearing him talk to Ahsoka in the other episode, like an episode where you just go along with Grogu, like, and maybe there's not as much talking. I don't know. That was great. It's so funny because it's like we're gonna shoot him. It's like they wouldn't have gotten near him at all. Like when they're like, I won't shoot you, I'll shoot your little pet. It's like, oh, that wouldn't work. No. Well, how is he supposed to know?
But yeah, I guess he wouldn't. I for a second I thought baby Grogu was going to speak. When they had the close up of his eyes, he was looking wise, almost like Yoda wise. Like you could tell he was learning in that moment. We're gonna do top 5 of who we think he was communicating with through the Force. I don't know if he was communicating with any individual Jedi necessarily. I'm gonna name individual Jedi for our top 5, but I don't know if necessarily he was, or if it was just the Force in general kind of guiding him through it. I thought it was a unique thing. I loved the way it looked around the edges and whatnot. I thought it was a lot of fun. We gotta talk. The minute the title came on the screen, I was like, oh,
the tragedy.
It was the worst title in The Mandalorian. Also, Giancarlo Esposito is the most hated man on planet Earth at the moment, I would suppose. But because now, Baby Yoda obviously gets kidnapped by the Dark Troopers at the end.
Yeah.
And I'm curious now, this episode was like 20, I think it was 32 minutes, but without credits, it was probably 29 minutes long. The next, I think they could probably wrap this season up in 5 minutes in the next episode. Bam, 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 Baby Yoda, you're with me. But they're not going to do that, clearly. Are we going to get 2 long episodes, 45 minutes to an hour long episodes? Maybe the last episode's an hour and a half, who knows? 2 long episodes, and Dark Troopers versus like a Mandalorian's coming back, do you think? Is Cara Dune going to go and help get Bill Burr? What are your expectations for the next 2 episodes coming up, for the season finale and the one before?
It's coming to that point, like last season, it was like, we have to build the team now. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, Cara Dune possibly back in this scenario. And then, what do you call it? Yeah, see, he's got Fennec Shan and Boba Fett on his side, because now he has no ship. But did it blow you away that they blew up the?
I gotta tell you, I gotta say the most surprising thing this season was that the Razor Crest took it.
Yeah,
hard.
It wasn't. It's like, oh,
and they're like, there's no. It's not like, because all season they're like, we got to repair it, and they've been doing it, and now it's like, there's no coming back from this. You're done, buddy.
Yeah. Like the dark. I love that the ball survived. The Beskar spear and the ball But the Dark Troopers, I'm very interested. Are they just supposed to be droids?
It looked like it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because they didn't really. They all move in a uniform. Like it was interesting. Yeah, no, I'm definitely, we're coming up for something huge. I think if they're smart, it should be like episode 7 and 8 should just be one long thing. So maybe there's just a break in the middle, which they did last season, I think. Yeah, when they have that standoff in Navarro, that's where the episode ends, I believe. Here's an argument again that like any leaks that we hear of, like Tamora Morrison's Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Bo-Katan, that is all intentional. There is no leak. It's Star Wars. Because here's what I thought about, especially in this episode, in the credits, all those like art concepts or whatever that they always do in the credits. This episode, could you imagine if those got leaked?
Yeah.
So it's like, those are what you want to leak. You don't need to leak, like, you want to get your hands on that.
Yeah.
Like revealing like Slave 1 reappearing, like you're just like, oh wow, like especially in this episode, you're like, wow.
So much, it's so much goodness. It's just, I have a lot of thoughts. They're positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a bummer. I'm like, I have to wait another week.
So
this is, I would argue, Mandalorian is at Game of Thrones level, except there's not nudity and death and everything. So
I never got into Game of Thrones, so I can't say.
It's at that level where it's like, oh, I can't wait to watch the next episode.
Yeah, I love the I like weekly shows. I'm okay with this. I'm not a binger. Even when I binge, I'm a terrible binger. I watch maybe 2, 1.5. Although, again, last year, Andrew said, "Are you gonna watch all of it at once, like one movie?" And I was like, "No." And then, like the week after it ended, I did. So I don't know. Yeah. I enjoy it. This episode, the tragedy, the worst titled episode of all time for Saturdays. It's the only one this season that I have seen twice so far. Yeah. It is probably my favorite episode. But that's not to say, like, I did want to watch last week's twice. I just never got around to doing it. And the week before, I really, really enjoyed that episode. I didn't get a chance to watch that one a second time either. I mean, I probably had a chance. I just didn't. But this one I did. I was like, oh, I want to watch it again. And I did because it was fun. And it was, it's I don't know where it is. It's just, it's almost feels like what they're doing now. And I think I said this to you, is this show is reminding me so much of Rebels. Yeah. In the way they are executing Star Wars into the show. So it's its own show. Like, first season of Rebels is okay, fine. It's it's a cartoon about these guys. That's fine. And then Ahsoka shows up. You're like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden the ball starts rolling. You're like, oh, okay, we're into Star Wars now. And Maul shows up, and Thrawn shows up, and Vader obviously, and we're kind of in that now with this show. Where the first season you're like, yeah, that was good. And like, oh yeah, by the way, all these things we do, it is Star Wars. Here's how all these Star Wars things are happening. And I really love and appreciate that they're doing that. And I'm not sure if that works anywhere else other than television. I don't know if you could do that in film.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know. I just like it.
Yeah. So solid 2 episodes.
Oh man, I would say a 1, 2, 3 episode punch.
Yeah. It's so many things are happening, and but there's so much unexplained stuff. You know what I mean? It's like why is it? I will say there's been character development in Mando, but there's been no expansion in who he is as a Mandalorian. I don't know. I was gonna say a person, but they're like, you definitely can see this new compassion growing in him for Grogu, but like, we're not talking about like where does he fit in the universe now, because he's sort of like he's been shown that like his origins are flawed. Like he was taken in by Death Watch, and Death Watch were not great people. So,
which he hasn't fully understood yet. He hasn't learned that yet.
Exactly. So I don't know if we're going to see that this season. I think they should put it off. But now with Boba Fett in this like concept that like they are both foundlings, or Jango was a foundling and Mando was a foundling, like, and this idea of like, I mean, the idea that Boba Fett isn't really a Mandalorian, he's just wearing the Mandalorian armor per se, or he's not really an authentic Mandalorian. So I hope they explore that. I think that would be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I do you think we're going to see the armorer come back this season?
The armor? Maybe.
That fan theory about her wearing the with the horns and all that, like, it's starting to look pretty good.
So maybe I don't know. It's sort of like it would be cool to see her return with a group of Mandalorians at the end of this season to like save the day at the last minute or something. But like, do we need that? Because we have a plethora of characters can fill that gap.
I don't know if they'd save the day or they'd be part of the problem for the day.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we still have Bo-Katan lurking around, because I think Bo-Katan's definitely coming back because her goal is the Darksaber. Moff Gideon has a Darksaber, so everyone is heading towards Moff Gideon right now, and I think
yeah, like it's like Moff Gideon has the Darksaber. Could he somehow get the allegiance of a group of Mandalorians, specifically the Death Watch. So that would be a nice little add-on there.
And I'm also curious. See, I thought Ahsoka was coming back, but now I don't know if Ahsoka's going to come back. I think Bo-Katan's going to come back, and the other two with her because of that. But I feel like Ahsoka's done for the season, or even for Mandalorian in general. I think she's done. I think she had her moment. I could be wrong, and if I am, I'm okay with that. Like whatever. But from what we saw, she knows who Bo-Katan is clearly, but she has no contact. Like it doesn't sound like they are buddy right now, and they're hanging out together on weekends. Like so, I don't know. You want to go to the odds?
Let's do it. Never tell me the odds, James.
Never tell me the odds. Brought to us by
Patreon.com. Check us out on Patreon.com. Patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast and support us if you like. We have stuff on there if you like to support us because we like you and you like us. And this segment is brought to you by our beloved patrons: Heidi Feder, executive producer; Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanifor, Sooner Thrawn, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D. Raven Spencer, Gleek Play 1, Automated Joy, Disney Desi, I can't read, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Aaron Quinton, Jericho Kane, Girls with Sabers, and the Den of Nerds. As soon as the blue butterfly flew up over Baby Yoda, Grogu, I immediately thought of the Girls with Sabers. They're all about that. So that was even Aaron understood the blue butterfly, which surprised me. So anyway, yeah, those are our Patreon supporters. Thank you all for your support over on Patreon. And now we'll get over to the odds. First odd, the odds that Grogu will use a lightsaber and fight Moff Gideon. Well, imagine if he has on him this whole time a little baby lightsaber.
And no, he has a lightsaber, but the part that makes it work is the little ball from
yeah.
He's been trying to get it because he's like, I complete it.
Okay, wait. What
that'd be good.
Okay, so that ball's clearly coming into play towards the end. It's gonna save it. It's gonna save the day, which is gonna be, or maybe not. But do you think? Anyway, never done the odds. Baby Yoda will use a lightsaber to fight Moff Gideon at some point this season.
Very low. I'm gonna go 25%. Just because it'd be weird if he all of a sudden. I mean, there's probably ways you could do it. I do like your theory that like, when he was on the rock this episode, that he'd start talking, like him going into this force dimension or whatever that you want to call it is like advanced him somehow, like he like downloaded a whole he's Neo in the Matrix, where like, now I know kung fu. Like it would be beautiful if he just started talking and that's explained later that it's because of this. I'm gonna go 25%. No, I'm gonna go lower, 5% that he's gonna use a lightsaber.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 11%. I don't think he will. I said before, I am not against him using the lightsaber at all. Because I think it could be fun. But I think the thing is, he's a child, he's a baby. I don't think he's there yet. But also, there could be a moment where he could grab the Darksaber, and he could pose a threat with that. Like he could take
or he could like hold it through the Force, and the lightsaber just floats in the air and swings and stuff.
Yeah, imagine Baby Yoda, Grogu, is the leader of Mandalore. I can see it happening. I don't know if it will. And when I'm wrong, awesome. The next odd, the odds of Ahsoka and Bo-Katan returning and help to save Grogu.
I'm gonna go full Brock on this because it's like I think Bo-Katan is gonna come back, but Ahsoka is sort of, I don't know. You could do it and we would love it, but I think there's too little time to explain why. But you're saying in this season, right?
Yeah, I would say this season.
Yeah, I'm going to go 50-50 because, like, I don't want to say low. The both of them.
Okay, let's do... Okay,
10%.
Do it, split it in half then. The odds of Bo-Katan coming to help save Grogu and the odds of Ahsoka happening.
Okay, 95% Bo-Katan's coming back, 5% Ahsoka's coming back.
Yeah, I'm around the same. I'm going to go 87.895 for Bo-Katan coming to help save baby. But they've already saved baby Grogu, don't forget. And Ahsoka's, I'm going to go 41%.
Mm.
I think it's high. Who's directing the finale? Is it Favreau? I can't remember. I don't know who it is.
Yeah. Oh, wait, who was... They announced 2 directors when it was Rodriguez and someone else.
Yeah, Peyton Reed. He did the second episode.
Oh, it was
yeah.
Peyton Reed. I couldn't remember who the person was.
And then the final the odds that Grogu will fall to the dark side of the Force. Is Grogu going full baddie?
I think that's a very potential thing. Like, something sets off, and then the 3rd season is just dealing with him being unleashed.
Baby Yoda is Snoke.
But Mandalorian, Mando brings him back somehow. I'm gonna go 75% because I don't hate it.
The ball brings him back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 67%. The ball brings him back. The ball is all things great, and I do love the ball. And my favorite part was when Mando says Grogu, and he laughed when he responded to his name. I loved it. That's like me when I first had to get a dog and I would say her name and she would look at me like, oh. Right, you ready for the news?
I am.
Hollow news, da 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 da, hollow do 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 do. Hollow news. Do you have it?
Yep.
Share it.
Hollow News, the news you need to know right now. Recently, while guesting on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Rogue One alum Diego Luna confirmed the production has already begun in London for Disney's upcoming Cassian Andor series. Luna said, "It's basically everything you have to know to understand Rogue One, the story of the character before. I can spoil the ending, I guess. It's nice to go into a story you already know the ending. Now you can take nuances and the layers. I think it's fun to do something that isn't just about getting to the end. It's about delaying that." And in other Star Wars news, Obi-Wan slated to start shooting in Boston. The production list recently posted an update that lists a January production start date for Disney's Kenobi series starring Ewan McGregor. The project will be presented as a limited series for Disney Plus, consisting of 6 episodes, which I don't know if that's accurate because at one point it was 4. Great, more episodes, the better. According to the listing, production for Kenobi will begin on January 4th, with filming taking place in both Boston and London. As production settings are harsh nowadays due to coronavirus pandemic, it's suspected that the shoots will take place indoors and on virtual sets. And if you're just loving Mandalorian and you want some more Mando merchandise, you should head over to Columbia. They put out last week Mandalorian themed jackets, Baby Yoda style or Grogu style for kids and Mando for adults. They put out a special edition collection for adult and youth jackets with Mando iconography and, in kids' cases, fleecy green ears, which will be available in limited quantities at Columbia.com/Star Wars starting 9 p.m. last Thursday at December 3rd. And as of this recording, they're all gone except for the toddler size. So if you want to get your hands on these jackets, you're going to have to go to the dark web. Also, Mandalorian news. If you're a Fortnite fan, well, guess who's coming to the Fortnite? Epic Games revealed that the Mandalorian and the Child are among the guest stars in the game's latest release, Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 5, 0 Point. Players can join Agent Jones as he enlists the greatest hunters across multiple realities, including the Mandalorian himself, to stop others from escaping the loop. Stay on target and join the hunt as you battle for honor in an ancient arena. Take on bounties from new characters and try out exotic weapons in a chaotic fight that will determine the future of the island. Among the new locations, perks, and weapons, you'll find the Mandalorian Ambin sniper rifle, which allows players to switch between melee and ranged attacks. And to celebrate the launch of the new season of Fortnite, from now until December 31st, 2020, get up to 2 months of Disney Plus free from Epic Games when you make any Fortnite real money purchasing games. And in our final news, Star Wars has lost another cast member. David Prowse passed away last 2 weeks ago at the age of 85. He has returned to the Force. He will be greatly missed for his acting prowess as the Sith Lord himself, Darth Vader. And this has been your Hollow News.
And now we'll go over to our top 5. Once I can
Top
find
5.
once I can find my top 5 graphic, Brock. Yep, can't find anything right now. It is just what the heck is going on? Oh, I screwed the pooch on that one. Top 5 Force users, Jedi or otherwise, that reached out to Baby Yoda. So Grogu. I'm gonna get it right one day. Top 5 Force users that reached out to him and taught him everything he needed to know about the Jedi way, or using the Force, or whatever it is. Here we go. Ready? Number 5. My number 5.
Wait, hold on. News update. Reham is currently watching The Mandalorian right now. So we'll have a review from her next episode.
I tell her to record it and send it in, and we'll tell her to make it an hour and a half.
This is Force users that might be talking to him during that thing.
Top 5 Force users that to contact Grogu. Yeah, who just for fun. Let us know who you guys want to in your comments down below or whatever. Just for fun. Who could have reached out to Grogu when he was on Mount Olympus? I'm going to go number 5, Count Dooku. Oh, guess what? Because look, the dark side doesn't turn into Force ghosts, and no one did before Qui-Gon, but I don't care. We're having fun. I want it to be Dooku. I like his lightsaber.
This is a good, top 5, because, it doesn't necessarily have to talk to him, but anybody that can hear the Force that would react to it. They did this in a Fantastic Four comic once, where there's Franklin Richards is he has psychic abilities, and as a kid he freaks out at one point, and then every psychic user in the Marvel universe was like, whoa, but they don't do anything. Hear him Jean Grey.
Oh, that's cool.
So
that's actually pretty cool.
Just a montage of people that we know that are existing at this time. So, but my number 5 is Luke. They just put him in there. It's that's where we're expecting it to go, or possibility. So Luke.
I kind of feel like I'm okay if Luke doesn't appear in this. Luke has his own thing going on, but yeah, I know I'm with you. It could possibly. I'm gonna go with this one's been on the internet. A lot of people saying, "Would you mind if this character came back?" And I always used to say no, and now I'm just I don't. No one's ever really gone. I'm gonna say Mace Windu. Mace Windu. When I fell out of that window.
Yeah, that's my number 4 too, because I did keep seeing that. They're wouldn't it be cool if he's alive, and this is how you bring him back in.
So I was all about no until somebody did that Darth Maul fan film poster, and it was Mace Windu was the villain of it or something, and then I was I'm kind of into this. That was years ago. That was 3 years ago, and I'm still and now with Boba coming back and Fennec Shand coming back and Palpatine coming back and Maul coming back, I'm just who cares? Just do it. It's Star Wars. Rules need not apply. My number 3 is Yoda.
Nice.
Why not? Everyone loves Yoda.
Sense. Yeah. And he could just be there to fully explain what they are.
We are a species called... It's muddled.
I'm going to go Maz Kanata.
Whoa.
He's a non-Jedi. Someone that's oh, yes.
Any way to improve that character, I am all for. My number 2, Ezra.
Yep, put Ezra in there. Boom.
Yeah, Ezra for sure. I mean, you're tying us into the Thrawn thing anyway. My number 1, Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn, number 1. He was the original Force spirit thing, so have him reach out to Baby Yoda. Grogu.
My number 1's gonna be Leia, because then she could just send the Rebellion, the New Republic, to come help them in some way, or I don't know.
I went with all dead people but Ezra. Just
Well, allegedly not dead.
True.
Allegedly.
Well,
allegedly.
his voice is not in The Rise of Skywalker, which you have to think, like, why wouldn't his voice be in there? Maybe because he was never trained as an actual... He was trained, though. I don't know. But anyway, his voice is the only one that's not in The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah. So
I thought about Cal Kestis. Maybe. Like, that'd be kind of cool, but...
Ooh, actually, yeah, I never thought of... I am playing Jedi Fallen Order. I am terrible at the game. I'm stuck. I don't know what I'm doing. So I get frustrated and I turn it off. And I play Pod Racer Revenge.
I took advantage of the Black Friday sales and bought Star Wars Squadrons and liking it quite a bit. And like the amount of stuff they're dropping in that character-wise, like
yeah, I've been
Hera's in it. They reference there's a bunch of things. But it's great. It's cool. They actually one of the Rebel pilots is I guess they're called Mimban, like from Mimban. Nice. I'm like, oh, this would look like. That's cool. And there's a lot of reference. It's like, it's what I think Aftermath sounds like, where they're just talking to people. They're like, oh, I remember this from the Clone Wars. I remember this from the Rebellion. You're like, oh, it's so cool. Yeah, I'm liking that.
Awesome. Yeah, I hopefully will play one day. Yeah, it was a great price on Black Friday for sure.
Yeah, 30.
Yeah, perfect price. I ended up just buying a bunch of stuff for Christmas gifts for people, and I gotta tell you, Brock, I bought stuff off of American places and I bought stuff off of Canadian places. #shop local. And I will tell you this: the American stuff has arrived. The Canadian stuff, I just got an email. It'll come. Get it together.
That's the adverse of what I've had. I guess it depends where you're ordering. But
I ordered something from the States, and it was in Mississauga longer than it was anywhere else. Like it crossed the border quicker than it was in Mississauga. But no, but the Canadian websites, it's just like, you're gonna get it at some point.
Well, you definitely didn't order from Indigo, then I'm assuming.
Indigo's pretty fast. Yeah, but Indigo's pretty fast. My sister, so we do a gift exchange because there's so many of us in the family, so we just kind of draw a name. But my sister lives in Vancouver. Kristen, they live in Vancouver, so they shipped everything to my house, and she ordered it. She ordered early just in case things got bad, and I think it came like in 2 days. Yeah, so it was from Indigo. It was really quick. No, Indigo's good unless they send you a used Jaws game. No, but what I ordered off of was not Indigo, and I just literally got an email saying it'll get there.
Cool.
Thanks for the heads up, guys. Thanks for the heads up. Anyway, yeah, we're gonna have some special shows coming up for Christmas Day and Christmas Eve, because we have nothing else to do on Christmas.
No.
Anything else you want to say, Brock?
Nope. Stay safe. Wear your mask. Baba Booey.
All right. This has been the 192nd episode of the Rebel Scum podcast. He's Brock. I'm James. And aside from being named Brock, he was always Scum.
Rebel Scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.